everyone, it's Vicki from Minerva. Today we are really excited because we are launching 10 brand new designs in the Minerva Exclusive Fabric Collection. So in case you haven't come across our own exclusive fabric collection before, about a year ago we launched the Minerva Exclusive brand of fabrics, and we focus predominantly on amazing prints, beautiful colour palettes and the most exquisite base cloths that are perfect for dressmaking projects. Now the first fabric we released, which is actually the fabric that I'm wearing today, so this is our Viscose Challis fabric, which is 100% viscose woven fabric with the most beautiful drape, and that is what our 10 new designs that we have printed to launch in spring and summer this year, and that is the base cloth that they are printed onto. So we've been working on these 10 new designs for the last 6 months or so, and we designed these specifically to launch at this time of year. So hopefully now, here in the UK at least, when the weather's hopefully starting to get a little bit warmer and a little bit sunnier, these fabrics should be perfect for your spring and summer makes. So in today's video I wanted to show you the 10 new prints, of course, and just tell you a little bit about the fabric. So in case you haven't sewn with our Viscose Challis fabric before, just to give you some information about the base cloth itself, and then I've also picked out a pattern to team with each of the fabrics that I'm going to show you today. So hopefully that'll give you loads of ideas on the sorts of things that you can make with these fabrics. So let's jump straight in. So let's talk about the fabric itself to start with. So here is the first print that I'm going to share with you. So this is called Mystic Grove, and it's such a stunning, very unusual print, this one. How beautiful is this design? Such an unusual colour palette, and it's like a landscape of trees with all different shapes and colours and textures in there, and the drawn details. It's absolutely beautiful. So to the base cloth itself, so like I said, this is a Viscose Challis fabric. And this Viscose Challis is 100% viscose, it's a woven fabric and it has no stretch. And the main characteristic about Viscose Challis is that it is very soft and drapey. You know, you can see when I'm moving it around here just how much fluidity and softness and drape this fabric has. It really is very silky soft to touch. It feels beautiful against your skin. Now, like I said, this is a woven non-stretch fabric, and it is 150 centimetres wide, or approximately 60 inches. And the weight of this fabric, that's what makes this really special for me. Lots of Viscose Challis are very, very lightweight, and this one is actually a touch heavier. So we're looking at 120 GSM, so grams per square metre for this fabric, which, you know, is still, like we can see, a very light and soft and floaty fabric. But it's, you know, it falls into our light to medium weight category here at Minerva, and that just gives it this beautiful weight coupled with the softness and drape. So you really get the best of both worlds. The added weight just gives it the most stunning drape ever. It really is beautiful, and it makes it versatile for so many different things you might want to make. All the fabrics are Ecotex certified, and we've worked with the mill that have printed these fabrics for us for over a decade now. We have a fantastic relationship with them, and they're just a joy to work with because, you know, they're obsessed with quality, and I think that really shows in, you know, in the fabric. We're really, really proud of this base cloth. So we've launched lots of designs so far in the Viscose Challis collection, and, you know, we have been printing on other base cloths as well, but these today are absolutely brand new prints, so we're really excited to share those with you. Now in terms of how easy Viscose Challis is to work with. Now, it's not the easiest fabric at all, you know, of all of them. You know, if you were looking at, if you're comparing it to, say, like a cotton poplin or a cotton sateen, something like that, you know, it is more slippery and a little bit slippy and slidey, you know, when you're coming to cut it out or when you're handling the pieces. But having said that, because of the extra weight that it has and just the the finish on the fabric, it does mean that it is relatively well behaved for a viscose. So you know, to get that stunning drape and fluidity that Viscose Challis gives you, you know, you do have that, you know, that it's a little bit more difficult to handle. But what we loved about this base cloth is that it, you know, it meets somewhere in the middle. It's not quite so difficult as like a really slippery like silk satin or a silky type fabric. But yeah, but you still get the wonderful drape and softness and fluidity. In terms of the sorts of things you can sew, like I mentioned before, it is a very versatile fabric. So you could make tops, tunics, blouses, skirts, dresses, shirts even, all different styles of dresses and jumpsuits. I mean, you could even make luxury pyjamas or like a dressing gown or a robe. So many different things you can make with it, which I think is one of the beauties of this fabric. Now in terms of whether it's see-through or not, on most coloured prints it is absolutely not see-through at all. That extra weight, you know, just gives you that sort of comfort and knowledge that, you know, it's not going to be see-through and you're not going to need to line it. Some of the lighter coloured prints, the ones especially that have a lot of light colour in the background, so if they're predominantly, you know, like white or cream, if you're making something quite fitted, then you would probably want to line those or wear a slip under them. Or, you know, if you were making something quite oversized or it was just a blouse or a top of some kind, you know, I certainly wouldn't line them. But yeah, you know, it depends on what you're making and a little bit down to personal preference as well. Now in terms of what needle you should use to sew our Viscose Challis, a normal universal needle is absolutely fine, around a size 70. If you're struggling with that at all, or you know, if you happen to have a Sharps or a Microtex needle, that's absolutely perfect for this sort of fabric. You know, Viscose Challis can be quite a delicate fabric. And yeah, because, you know, because of how sort of a little bit slippy and slidey it is, just a Microtex needle can just be a little bit easier to sew with, and that's our #1 recommended needle if you have one, or we have them on the site as well. And in terms of thread to use, just an ordinary sew-all thread like from Gutterman or another good brand are absolutely ideal for these fabrics. So let's jump into the 10 prints and we'll have a look at my pattern suggestions throughout that will hopefully give you some ideas on what you can make with this fabric. So first of all is this absolutely, I love this print. It's possibly, well, it's definitely one of my top favourites, if not my favourite. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. So we can see these, it's like a treescape or, you know, a landscape made up of all these beautiful different shaped trees in the most gorgeous and unusual colour palette. I absolutely fell in love with this design when we saw it. And these unusual peaches, this denim-y kind of Air Force blue sort of coloured background, and then the hints of purple throughout. It's absolutely beautiful. And then the pattern I've chosen to team with that, and the patterns I've picked today are all quite different styles. So, you know, we've got tops and dresses, jumpsuits, skirts, you know, lots of different styles of garment to give you hopefully lots of ideas on what you can make. So the pattern I chose for this fabric is the Style Arc Norman jumpsuit. Now I think this is a really gorgeous jumpsuit to wear in spring and summer. It's light and breezy and you're going to feel comfortable and cool whilst you're wearing it, and the silky softness of this fabric will just feel beautiful against your skin. So it's a V neckline, thin little straps, it has pockets of course, and it has a little a gathered like elastic detail at the centre back, which just draws it in, you know, just a touch and makes it hug, you know, the shape of your back there. And then it has quite wide leg trouser legs on the pattern, which I think will drape and swish and waft beautifully as you moved. And the other thing I think with this pattern as well is that because it's, you know, it's a head to toe garment and there's very little seams to break it up, I think it will show off that print beautifully. And because this is quite a, you know, an overall sort of like quite random design, the centre line, I mean, I don't think you would need to pattern match that at all, but if you did choose to, I think that'd be quite an easy seam to pattern match. And you know, you could have it where, you know, if you did that, you'd have no break at all in the print across the front of the garment. So yeah, that's my pattern pick number 1. So the second one we've got is this absolutely, oh, this is such a fun print. This one is called Sewing Sorority, and isn't that so fun? It's got gorgeous bold primary colours on there on this white background. It's really fresh, really colourful, just really, really fun. All those faces that scatter over the fabric there in all those gorgeous colours. I love that it has lots of primary colours in there on this white background. I think that's really, really fun. And it's, you know, I think if you made something in this, you could not help but feel happy when you wore that. So the pattern I've chose for this one is a butterick pattern that's designed by Palmer & Pletch, which actually includes the tissue fitting method. So if you've never tried that before, it's a really good method for creating a good fit that uses the tissue pattern paper. It's been going for years and years now, but you know, Palmer & Pletch were the people that, the brand that, you know, came up with this, and yeah, it's a fantastic technique, something to really get your teeth stuck into, and to, you know, to really help you understand fit and, you know, what you need to do to achieve a good fit for your body. So the pattern we're looking at is Butterick 6898, and it's a fabulous, like an oversized shirt. So it has a button fastening at the front, a really beautiful collar detail, different sleeve options, and it has a seam detail sort of down here over the bust area on 2 of the options. It has pocket details you can add. There's so many different features in this one pattern. So I think, you know, lots of people will find a shirt that they really love in that, and I just really love the oversized, casual, relaxed feel of that. I think that's a shirt you could just wear every day, you know, team it with trousers or jeans, and it would be so fun in a print like this. Even though this fabric has you know, a white background, it's really not that see-through. I mean, I'm holding it here now, even under all the lights, and I can't see my hand through it. So for a blouse like that that's oversized, absolutely you would not need to line this fabric at all. So yeah, that's my fabric and pattern pick number 2. Number 3, now we have another really fun faces print in the collection, and this one is called Making Conversation, which I love the name of this one. It's such an unusual print. I hope you're going to love it as much as we do. There we are. Isn't that just amazing? Now I think what makes, you know, there's lots of face prints out, you know, that we have in stock on our website at the minute, but I think what makes this one unusual is that some of the faces are very much just a line drawing, but then other ones are a line drawing that have parts of the design of the face filled in with either colour or print. If I hold that up there, hopefully you can see that. And some of the faces are more filled in than others. It's just really, really unusual. Quite, I mean, it's obviously, it's a bold print, but the colour palette, would there be lots of white in there, it keeps it very fresh and modern, and, you know, it's not too sort of over the top with it. You know, the print is the star of the show, I think, in this design. It's absolutely gorgeous. Now it's obviously a directional print, as some of the fabrics are today, so you'll want to take that into consideration. In terms of pattern matching, depending on what you're making, you know, it's quite a random sort of spaced out design, so I don't think you would need to worry too much about that. But of course, if you wanted to, you could go to town on pattern matching with this as well. Such an unusual design. Now the pattern that I've chose for this one is another Butterick pattern actually, and this is number 6455. And this is it's not too dissimilar from what I'm wearing today actually, and I've actually got this on my to sew queue. And it'd be a great top pattern just to be able to wear every day, you know, to work, meeting friends, going out for a pub lunch, you know, whatever that might be, and more, you know, it's just something you could chuck on all the time. So we've got 4 different views in this pattern, and they all feature a gathered, really pretty, quite deep round neckline. And the rest of the pattern, the rest of the top bit is quite simple, and it has fullness which comes from that gathered detail at the neckline. View A has frill details, View B has a really big frill on the sleeve which I think will be gorgeous, View C has like a puff sleeve that comes to an elastic around the wrist, and View D has a sleeve which has a little tie detail here with a slit that goes down. So there are actually 4 very different styles of top in this one pattern, and I think any of them would look fabulous made in this fabric. And I think, you know, for such a simple top but made in such a statement wow of a, you know, type of fabric, it will be absolutely gorgeous. Now the next fabric we've got, so this is called Blooming Glade, and if you love floral prints and you love colour, I think you're going to love this fabric. It's absolutely gorgeous. Now this is a new designer that we're working with, and I just love the style of her prints. Isn't that absolutely stunning? It's a beautiful scale of print. It's quite a small scale. You know, hopefully you can see that, like when you see my hand against, you know, the size of the flowers in there. It's not ditzy, it's not really tiny, but it is quite a small scale, and it has a black background, but there is so much colour on there that it just, the dark background really makes those colours pop. It's absolutely beautiful, and I think it's one of those prints that the more you look at it, the more detail you see. There's just so many little itty bitty flowers and petals and, you know, details in there. It's so beautiful. And I love with this that, you know, because it has that darker background, I really do think it would take you through all the year. You know, as gorgeous as it is for spring and summer, you know, you could team that with tights and boots and a cardigan in the winter and be wearing the garment all throughout the year. So the pattern I've got to pair with this one is an absolute bestseller at Minerva, such a gorgeous dress or romper, and it is the Shelby from True Bias. So this has a V neckline with a button up front, a short, very simple sleeve, and you can make either a dress or a jumpsuit option, and the jumpsuit, the legs are quite wide, so in a way it almost looks like a dress. And then they both of them have a tie detail at the back, which just cinches it in a touch at the waist. Yeah, I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And those princess seams on either the dress or the romper are going to make so that you can achieve a really good fit easier, because you've got more seam lines to play with to be able to get a good fit. I'm just thinking that fabric, what could be more beautiful for a summer dress? So the next fabric we've got, now this is another floral, but it is very different to the last one. Let's move those up a touch. So this one is called Tropical Trail, and it is absolutely stunning. It's such a dramatic statement print. How beautiful is this? Now we've been working on this design out of all of the prints probably for the longest. So getting the scale on this just right, the colours just right, but we think we've absolutely nailed it with this fabric. It's so pretty. So as you can see, it's made up of bands or stripes of flowers that are just so full of intricate details. You can really see the sketch sort of drawing from the artist that's really replicated in the fabric. There's so much detail in there, and it really does look like a hand-drawn fabric, really. It's absolutely beautiful. I think that's one of the things with our Viscose Challis, because of the quality of the weave of this fabric. It really shows up the detail in prints. You know, you don't lose any of that, what you see on the drawing. You know, it really transfers really well on fabric, and I just think the colours in this one, how beautiful are they for spring and summer. I love the idea with this that you could choose which way you use the stripes. So perhaps if you were making a dress, You could put the stripes going across on the bodice and then maybe down on the skirt. If you were making something with like a collar detail, you know, you could place the stripes so that they worked beautifully on the collar. They could work down a sleeve, you know, you could position that really beautifully. I think there's so many ways you can be creative with this fabric and make a garment that's really unique to you. So the pattern suggestion I've got for this one is actually quite a new pattern, and it's from Liesl & Co, and it's called the Enmore Halter Dress and Top. So you do actually have a dress and a top option in this one. I was looking at the dress just because I think this would be gorgeous in a dress, but it would be beautiful in the top as well. Now this is a halter neck top or dress. It has gathering detail across the neckline, and other than that it's very, very simple. I mean, the difficulty on this is rated 2 out of 4 stars. Yeah, it has a seam up the back with a little button closure there, but from the front it's completely uninterrupted and just gathers at that neckline. So I thought that would show off this fabric absolutely beautifully. And if you just want a simple make in this, you know, you don't want to be doing too much pattern match, you know, pattern placement, you know, or anything that's going to require, you know, lots of sort of planning. With this, you know, just a simple dress or top in this I think will be absolutely gorgeous. And I think probably the only thing you'd want to really do is perhaps make sure that one of these stripes runs down the centre front, and then, you know, it looks really purposely placed, and all that gathering detail then at the neckline would just look absolutely gorgeous. So the next fabric I've got is a very small scale, and I just love the colours in this one. It's absolutely beautiful. Now this one is called Seedling Shimmer, and isn't that just absolutely beautiful? Oh, I think it's so pretty. To me, this print looks like petals that have fallen off flowers and have, you know, scattered just so prettily, either on water or on the ground, something like that. And the colour, so the background colour is a very dark navy, and then the predominant colours in the print are blues, purples, even a hint of lemon and like a sagey green in there. Again, it's an unusual colour palette, but it is absolutely gorgeous. I just think this would make any sort of style, you know, a top, a dress, a skirt, a blouse, a tunic, a jumpsuit, anything. I think this would be absolutely gorgeous. And of course you don't need to worry about pattern matching with this because it's such an all over random small scale print. And yeah, some of this is definitely going to be coming home with me, and yeah, I just need to narrow down what I'm going to make because I kind of want to make everything in this one. So the pattern I've chose, which I just think will be so gorgeous in this is the McCall's 8104 dress pattern. I have this pattern at home. I haven't made it yet, but it's definitely on the list, and I think it will be absolutely gorgeous for spring and summer. So in this pattern you get 3 different views, and what is the same on all the views is it has quite a low V neckline, but I mean you could wear, you know, a little vest top underneath if you didn't want it so low, and then it has a curved seam that goes under the bust, and into that seam it has little gather details which creates the shape for the bust area. And then it has grown on sleeves, which I really like because that's a, you know, a really nice easy type of sleeves as well. You know, you don't need to set a sleeve in or anything. And the skirt section, so you have different options with the skirt, but they're all quite full. Some of them have like an extra tier on there, and the length is the main difference between the views. So the part that is different on each of the views are the sleeves. So view A is the one I really love, which is the main one on the envelope cover, and they're a really big flutter sleeve. I absolutely adore a flutter sleeve. I think it really suits the style of that dress, and I think it will be absolutely amazing in this fabric. But also view B is really lovely as well, which is like a little puff sleeve that comes into a band detail, and then view C is just quite a simple, almost like a flutter sleeve, but there's not as much fabric in there, so it's a less, I guess, dramatic look, but equally pretty just the same. I really hope somebody makes this combination because I think that will be absolutely gorgeous. Now the next print we've got is, and going back to the more fun, poppy, yeah, just really kind of like an unusual print, really fresh for summer. And this one is an animal print design. Now we had to print an animal print, and this one is so unusual. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? So I'd describe this as like a mid sort of size scale print. It's not a large scale, but it's not a diddy. It's not a tiny little animal print, so it really does create a statement. But the colour palette is actually quite soft and subtle on this one. So it's predominantly black and white. You know, so it's got a very graphic, monochrome, a bold look in that respect, but then the colours that are in there, these extra little pops of colour within the animal prints, are really soft and pastel and very pretty, and I think it makes it really gorgeous for spring and summer. So hopefully if I hold that up there you can see, so it's got like a cornflower blue, a lilac, like a very pale mustardy gold, a sky blue. Really, really pretty colours, and I just think on that white background it's so fresh, and it really makes the print pop. Absolutely gorgeous. So the pattern I've chose for this one, so I've gone for another blouse on this one, which again I think just would be great to wear, you know, with leggings or jeans, you know, your favourite trousers, and gorgeous to wear in the spring and summer. So this is McCall's 8199, and on this pattern you have 3 different views, and they all have a detail at the bust area, so like a fitted almost like cup around the bust, which gathers down the centre. Then it has a very full section around the waist, so the fabric is gathered in to create the fullness, which I think in this sort of fabric as well, I think that would work really beautifully, because it would just hang really well, and it would swish and waft as you moved, and it would just feel beautiful against your skin. I think the version that's been done on the envelope there, you can tell that's been done in more of like a cotton fabric, which does look lovely, but it looks a lot more full. Whereas I think in a viscose, it would just be a little bit more, you know, it would fit, sit close, a little bit closer to the body, and all that fullness would just hang and drape really, really beautifully. So then the 3 different options are mainly to do with the sleeves. So view A is just, it has very simple straps, which I mean that would be a gorgeous top to wear when it's nice and hot, or if you're going on a summer holiday maybe. View B, which is probably my favourite, so that has an elastic ruffle detail that goes over the shoulder, and that creates a puff sleeve which comes into elastic at the bottom of the sleeve, and again that puff detail in viscose would just hang and sit beautifully. Oh, it'd be gorgeous. And then view C is similar to B, except it's a longer sleeve, and it has like a little frill along the bottom, which again is super pretty. I just think the look of that print would suit the vibe of that pattern so well. I think that would be such a gorgeous make. So now the next print we've got, now this is something completely different again, and this one is called Surreal Spots. And this has been a favourite with everyone in the office here at Minerva. How unusual and gorgeous is that? It really looks like the artist, you know, has got a paintbrush and literally just, you know, like sort of splattered paint against a canvas to create this completely abstract, random, you know, kind of splodges or paint splatters kind of effect. It's so beautiful, so unusual. What I love about this one as well is, you know, it has a very toned down colour palette. You know, it's got a creamy, ivory creamy kind of background colour, and then the paint, like splatters or splodges, are made up of black or all different shades of grey, you know, right from charcoal to a mid-grey, and it's just beautiful. I think, you know, if you're somebody that, you know, isn't naturally drawn to flowers, or maybe some of the more, you know, very pretty or feminine kind of prints, this could be something perhaps that, you know, it is for you. I think it's such a statement, stunning print, but it's, you know, it's not a floral, it's not a leaf print. You know, it's definitely more graphic and abstract, but equally beautiful, just a very different sort of print. In terms of opacity with this one, you know, it's got lots of cream in the background. So this is the one of the ones where, you know, if you If you're making something super fitted or like a jumpsuit or trousers, maybe something like that, you would want to consider lining it or wearing a slip under perhaps. But if you were making a blouse or something that's not more oversized, you know, you would be fine without lining this fabric at all. So the pattern I've chose for this one, so I've gone for something which I think is a really lovely pattern. This is from Liz Taylor and it's the Reverie blouse. And this pattern has so many beautiful details on it. I mean, it's definitely one to get your teeth stuck into. It's only rated as an intermediate pattern, but there's just lots of details. So I think it'll be a very fun sew. So it's a blouse that has a simple round neckline. It has sleeves which have little gathers at the top, but are otherwise very plain, like a 3/4 length. It has darts at the bust for shaping. So all that part is quite simple, but the details that make this pattern really special are it has like a 3-button closure just on one of the shoulders. So that's like your fastening, you know, to be able to get the garment on and off. And then around the waist it has this sort of like pleated detail. So you're pleating the fabric to create almost like bands around the waist. And into that is like a gathered piece of fabric that creates, you know, like a frilled, you know, fuller part to the blouse. So in a way it creates the effect of a fitted waist, but it's not. The pleat section around the waist does just hang straight, and then this extra fullness that comes from those pleated details, you know, almost creates the look of like a peplum, but it's not. So yeah, I think if you're somebody that doesn't necessarily like things that fit in the waist, but you like the idea of creating the illusion of that or just having this detail around that area, I think this would be a really good pattern. And I think this fabric would really suit it as well because, you know, there's lots of details in this pattern to break up the print of a fabric. But with this one, because, you know, it's so abstract that you certainly don't need to, you know, consider pattern matching or even pattern placement with it. So all these details that break it up, you know, will just add to the overall effect. And yeah, I just think, oh, that was such a lovely combination, and I really love love that pattern. It's very unusual. I've not seen anything quite like that before. Now the next fabric we've got, so this is a gorgeous summery print. I love the colours and the design in this one. So this one is called Succulent Citrus, and you'll see why when I hold it out. Oh, it's so gorgeous, this print. How lovely and summery is this one. Absolutely gorgeous. So you can see the design is covered with plants and succulents and fruits as well. So, you know, we have little like orchard trees, we have you know, like cacti, all different plants. I'm not very well up on my names of plants, but perhaps you'd be able to spot some in here. But there's just so much variety of all the different plants and all the different shapes of the leaves. And two things which I think are really gorgeous with this fabric are, one, the little fruit trees. So we've got lemon trees, orange trees, and then strawberries in here as well. And those add just a pop of colour, which, you know, it's a white background, this fabric, and the predominant colour is green, but these little pops of colour just really add to it. And the other thing that I love is lots of the plants are actually in little pots, and those little pots all have little patterned sort of details on them, which again adds a little bit of extra colour. Hopefully if I hold that up there you'll be able to see. Like in this one here, it's got like a geometric sort of print on the plant pot in shades of blue, so it just adds some lovely little hints of colour. I think it's really fresh, really summery, just perfect for this time of year. Now the pattern I've chose for this one, I'm quite excited by this pattern, and I do think it would actually be lovely for like any of the prints that we're launching today. But in this one especially, it would just be so gorgeous for summer. So this one is McCall's 7565, and it's a shirt dress, but a shirt dress with a bit of a difference. So it's a beautiful collar detail, a button up down the front, There's 3 different sleeve options, so a sleeveless, a very like short sleeve, or a 3/4 length sleeve that has like a turn up detail that's then fastened with a little tab. But what is different about this pattern is the shape of the dress itself. So right from sort of like underneath the arm, underneath the armhole detail, it's shaped like this, so it's really full, and I think that would just be lovely to wear in summer, you know, where it's not necessarily touching your body, so it'll keep you nice and cool. But also I think that fullness would just be absolutely beautiful in a viscose challis, because it would just swish and waft as you moved. It will feel gorgeous against your skin. And the other thing that I think is great with this pattern is, so if you love an oversized look like that, you would sew the pattern just as is. If you prefer a bit more waist definition, like I would fall into that category, it actually comes with like a belt tie that you can use with any of the options. So you could use that just to cinch it in at the waist and just give a little bit of shape. But at the same time, you know, with that being made in a viscose challis, it's going to cinch in beautifully and just hang really well. So whichever option you went with, the viscose I think would work beautifully with it. And the pattern also has the option for pockets as well, which I think is fab. And now we're on to our last fabric, and this is called Verdant Veil, and this is an absolutely beautiful, oh, it's a gorgeous leaf print design. It's really bold, gorgeous colours, a little bit of a larger scale than some of the others that we've looked at today. Isn't that absolutely stunning? This is another of my favourites. I absolutely love this print. So it has a very dark navy blue background, and then the leaves that are printed, you can see the artist's hand in this. So you can see where they've been painted. You know, the sort of all the different shades of like the watercolours that have gone into, you know, even just that one leaf there. It's absolutely beautiful. There's so much detail, but it has a very watercolour, painterly sort of finish to it. And I just love the colours in this one. So that dark navy background, and it absolutely throws the design out with all these gorgeous shades of green and blues and turquoises. I think that's such a stunning print. And it's a larger scale print, but it's not too large by any stretch. You know, you can see my hand there next to this leaf here. You know, it's certainly not a very large scale print, but I just think it's very dramatic and just absolutely gorgeous for spring and summer. So the pattern I chose for this one, now I wanted to include a skirt pattern to give you, you know, a pattern suggestion for a skirt, which I think, you know, is a lovely style for a viscose challis, especially for spring and summer, as it will swish and waft and drape really beautifully as you move. So this pattern is New Look 6721. There's 3 different views on this pattern, and I particularly love view A and view B because they both have a handkerchief hem, which is a really simple design detail to sew, but it just adds so much to the style of the garment, I think. And in a print like this, I think that would be absolutely gorgeous. So that's all of the 10 brand new prints that we're launching. So do let me know in the comments, you know, which was your favourite, which was your favourite fabric, which was your favourite pattern, you know, which was your favourite pairing. You know, do remember that the patterns that I've picked today, you know, I've picked one each specifically for each fabric, but if you love, you know, this fabric and want to make, you know, the skirt we just looked at, for example, you know, you can absolutely mix and match them. The only thing to consider is on the prints that have, you know, a lighter coloured background, you know, if it's something like, say, like a jumpsuit like the first pattern we looked at, you know, you might want to consider lining it, or, you know, wearing a slip under if it's something quite fitted. So do just keep that in mind as well. So yeah, please do let me know which is your favourite fabric. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. I don't think I could choose a favourite because, I mean, yeah, I was just obviously involved in the, you know, the design process of all of these, and each one of them I absolutely love. It's more a case of, for me, which one I will choose to sew first, which that's a difficult decision as well in itself. So as always, we will tag all the fabrics and patterns that I've mentioned in this video below on Minerva, so you can click on those links and that will take you through to all, you know, the pricing details and the sizing details on the patterns. And as always, the great thing with the Minerva website, if any makers in the community have made things with these patterns, you'll be able to see those projects on the pattern page. So it can just be really helpful to see, you know, that same pattern made in different fabrics, made you know, for people of all different shapes and sizes and heights. You know, see what fabrics they've used and how it looks on them. Loads of really you know, useful information on there, and of course we'd love to welcome you to create a free profile on Minerva as well and join our wonderful sewing community. You know, you can share your makes as well, so you know, which can be really helpful for other sewists in the community. But you know, you can also use it to ask for tips and advice or plan your sewing projects, you know, however you might want to use it, and also just to be able to, you know, browse and see what other makers in the community are making. It's so inspiring, and you know, you can leave a comment, leave a like, you can follow your favourite makers. It's just a wonderfully friendly, inviting, fun place to be, you know, to be surrounded by people that love sewing just as much as you do. And of course with the fabrics as well, you know, when people start making things in these fabrics and posting those on Minerva, you'll be able to see all the wonderful, amazing garments that people have been making with these, which again is just so inspiring. If you would like 10% off everything that you've seen today, you can join our Minerva Craft Club, and with that membership for a year you get 10% off absolutely everything on the website. It's always on top of sale prices and offers or promotions we might run, and as always we have free delivery options as well at Minerva worldwide. So thank you very much for watching today. I really hope you enjoyed that. I really hope you love the new prints just as much as we do. We are so excited to see these, you know, go out to makers all around the world and, you know, see what you start making with them. It's, you know, it's always such a joy to actually see, you know, fabrics that we put into production actually being made into things that people love and wear and cherish in their me-made wardrobes. So yeah, thank you very much for watching today, and I will be back again soon with another video filled with sewing, fabric and pattern goodness.